Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you could be here. I'm here for you and you are here for me, right? You're just here to check out what's been going on behind the scenes. So let's get started. I know it's been a little while since I posted last, but life is kind of crazy. Took me in a weird direction for a minute, but I'm back on course as far as getting to showing you what we're doing here at Retrograde Creations. So recently I picked up a cinema camera. I was using a DSLR for quite a while, so now this is my first dive into cinema cameras. So not to say that I haven't messed around with cinema cameras before and cinema lenses before, but this is like my own personal one. So right now, if you can tell the difference, I have 10-bit 4K RAW cinema DNG going, so I hope that everything looks a little bit more clear. The colors are a little bit more vibrant. So as I was doing a ton of research as to which camera to get and what lenses to kind of work with, what I've noticed is that there are certain people that will start out with their first cinema camera and they will make a few little minor mistakes as far as their shutter angle slash shutter speed, again depending on what kind of camera you're working with, and your f-stop slash t-stop, right? Your f-stops are more for your photo lenses, t-stops are for your cinema lenses. So just wanted to go and talk about these things and hopefully give you a little bit of education on how to make all that work. So there's a ton of videos on shutter speed and how to double your frame rate to double your shutter speed based on your frame rate, and that's supposed to be how you get the proper shutter angle or shutter speed, sorry. So I won't quite dive into that. However, when it comes to cinema cameras, oftentimes what you do is you set it to the shutter angle of about 180 degrees. And then if you want more blur, you crank it up toward 360 degrees. So some people will stop at 270 degrees, yada yada. And if you want it to be more sharp as movement is going on, what you do is you drop the shutter angle down toward like 90 degrees or 45 degrees so that there isn't very much blur. Usually they do that for like fast moving, like let's say soccer clips, someone's running with the camera and they need everything to look nice and clear. They'll drop their shutter angle down to like 45 degrees or something like that. And then also as far as f-stop and t-stop, one thing I'm super grateful for is when I was in college I took a photography class, and one thing that they had us do was focus specifically on depth of field. That was like one of the first projects they had us do. And actually, no, I think it was kind of mid-semester we were talking about depth of field. Anyway, so depth of field is, let's say you want clarity, but you only want to focus that clarity on a certain portion of what's in your composition, right? Your overall frame of what you're taking a photo of. Or, obviously we're talking about video here, so this big box that you're seeing right now, like that's the composition, right? So your depth of field is what you want to have the viewer focus on, and then everything else can be blurred out. Now the thing is that there's what's called foreground, midground, and background. Most people understand what a background is, right? Whatever's going on behind your subject. Typically people will use their depth of field to kind of blur that out. So your foreground is like, let's say you have a subject and you put leaves from a branch in the way, or leaves from, you know, a bush or something in the way, in between that person or that thing and, you know, the actual subject itself. So here's the thing. There was a good practice that we had where we had to take 3 different objects, put one close to us, one in the middle, and one further away, right? And take a picture of all 3, but move the depth of field. So on one, basically you got an A if you could take a picture of the thing in the foreground and have that be clear while the other 2 things are blurred out. Then the exact same angle, you move the depth of field to that mid-ground, where whatever that subject is, and take a picture so that the thing that's in the front is blurred and the thing that's in the back is blurred. And then again, same angle, everything, but you're moving the depth of field so that the thing that's in the background is nice and clear, but the other 2 things are blurred, right? So that's one way to kind of practice your depth of field so that you can get the audience to kind of focus on what you want them to focus on. Or you can do like someone like Ansel Adams, or other people that were part of the what's called, I think it was the F-64 group. They were photographers who their f-stop was way up at like 64, and they had nice, clear, beautiful pictures of landscapes. So if you ever think of those Yellowstone Park landscape photos, those were Ansel Adams lugging around like an 80-pound camera or whatever it was. It was a massive camera. Anyway, so what you can do, you can also raise your f-stop or your t-stop. I'm just using them interchangeably, but they basically are meaning roughly the same thing as far as your lens. So you can raise your aperture to, let's say, an 8 or a 10 or 16 or whatever your lens will allow, so that you can get more clarity in your shot. So and the reason I say this is because there are videos I've seen where, let's say, the foreground or the background is clear but the subject is blurry, or maybe as long as the person is staying still, they're nice and clear, but then as soon as they start moving, they look a little bit blurred, right? So maybe their shutter angle is too high. So shutter speed is too high. So when they move, they're more blurred, right? So I'm going to show you a quick example of what that kind of looks like. I didn't really have a person there that I could do this experiment with, so I just used a landscape that I found nearby. So I'm going to take you into the editor and just kind of show you what I mean. Alright, so I'll see you in a few. So this is usually what the image looks like if the f-stop/t-stop is a little bit too low, or if your shutter angle/shutter speed is not correct. Once you dial in your shutter angle and your f-stop, usually this is how the image looks. See how the midground is nice and clear, the foreground and background are blurred, and the shutter angle is at the proper angle. Or if you have the proper angle and you raise your f-stop/t-stop up to, like, let's say 8 or 10 or 16, everything is nice and clear for the audience to see. Alright, well, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that, and remember how I said that a little while ago Christmas came a little bit early, right? So one thing I was demonstrating was the Zoom F3. So that's what you're currently hearing the recording on right now. So obviously I had to do an audio sync and all that, but it's a great recorder. Obviously you can hear the clarity. It's 32-bit float technology. So, you know, now we have wonders of technology that are being sold to us at a more consumer level. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.